So with that being said, then it comes down to us basically discussing one of the key elements, which is, okay, so what were our two faves of this episode? So the titles we reviewed, what were your two faves? So again, just to make sure everyone remembers, we reviewed Akil the Mighty, Sweeper, Magical Fantasy Football, Mowgli's Choice, Urban Vogue, and Don't Lose Your Head. Of these six, Jackie, what were your two favorites? All right. Hey, guys, this is Frederick, founder and publisher of Saturday AM, the world's most diverse manga brand. And this is a new episode of our show, Roundtable, where we bring together a lot of our creators and staff members to talk about things that are happening in the world of manga, comics, anime, and of course, all things Saturday AM. And tonight is our first new episode of a two-parter that'll focus on our biggest event of the year, Summer of Manga. For all of you guys who want to join Saturday AM, Summer of Manga is the way that it normally happens. This is a really unique experience where everyone gets to submit their pitches and their proposals and presentations to us to have a chance to introduce their concepts. Just like a traditional publisher, we'll review them, we'll determine if they work. If we think that they're great, we'll interview the creators and go into a bit more detail. And then from there, of course, we then move into the next phase of things to assign them an editor and editorial guidance. And then they produce content for us, typically a short story of varying page length. We publish it in an issue or two of Saturday AM. And then from there, we allow you guys to review their work and provide them critical analysis as to whether or not you think their titles and their talent have what it takes to go to the next level. Now, in this most recent year, last year, 2021, Summer of Manga, not only did we uncover some extraordinary creators, as we do every single year, but we also discovered creators that we were able to utilize and provide paid assignments on a new title we have called Saturday AM Annual. This is a graphic novel that we're doing that incorporates short stories from many of these creators from around the world. In fact, this year's version, which is called Saturday AM Annual Saturday AM Presents Saturday AM Annual 2023, this particular title features creators from the United Kingdom, Ghana, Nigeria, Greece, and of course here within the US. That's incredible. And so when you have that type of diversity, that is really what makes Saturday AM what we are. We are, as I said before, the world's most diverse manga brand. We feature the most diverse characters. And of course, we feature some of the most diverse creators. So with that being the case, our magazine just recently hit its 150th issue. You can get the magazines in our app for free. Simply go to www.saturday-am.com/app, APP, and you have a chance to check out all the content we release, including Saturday AM, which is our Shonen manga magazine, Saturday PM, which is our seinen manga magazine, and Saturday Brunch, which is our Josei manga magazine, complete with LGBTQ representation. We also have free webcomics you can find on our website. We have called Pilot Manga, and that features some extraordinary creators there. You're going to meet one of them tonight. So with all that being said, again, the Saturday AM Diverse Manga Revolution is in full effect. We not only created this diverse manga landscape, but we are the leaders of it. And now with our brand new graphic novel program, where you can buy physical versions of our hottest series collected in graphic novel format, we continue on the path that we believe of trying to evolve the realm of manga and independent comics. And so again, Summer of Manga is one of our signature events for being able to discover the great new creators. And you're going to have a chance to meet a number of folks today as we get ready to do our roll call before we jump into the first set of reviews of the first couple of titles that were in this year's Summer of Manga. So first, to introduce everybody, I'm going to go on the horn here. We have, first and foremost, your normal host of Roundtable, Miss Jackie Rendy. How you doing tonight, Jackie?
I am doing fantastic, bubbly, and ready to go.
So, folks, I just want you all to know that I have never seen Jackie not bubbly, so therefore we know that this is a normal video for Jackie. We also have, have you guys ever seen Saturday Night Live? Then you're going to know this man's look. It is Michael, aka Monitor Comics. You've seen his wonderful videos on his YouTube channel. Michael also creates a really cool series for us called Change the World, which is part of our free webcomic program It's a select group called Saturday Afternoon on the website pilotmanga.com. Michael, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Excellent. If you guys haven't checked out his videos, you should. The channel is called Monitor Comics, and it's got some really great content on there. Last but not least, we have Miss Morgan Walker. Morgan, many of you have asked, is she real? And the answer is no. She's like a giant AI program. The woman doesn't exist. You can tell that because she refuses to use a camera. She has a job where she makes, let's just say, normal people money, and she refuses to buy a computer with a camera on it, which leads me to believe that she is a VTuber. She's probably like a Japanese VTube AI creation. I've met her, but I started thinking about it, and I'm like, did I meet her, or was it an actress? So I don't know, but Morgan is here. She's the creator of Soul Beat, one of our most popular series. How are you doing tonight, Morgan?
Doing great. Just living in the Matrix, doing what robots do, I guess. I do have a camera. I just have refused to install it or set it up yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you all agree with me. That is something an AI would say. So, all right. Well, then, with that being said, then you all know about Saturday AM. Hopefully, you guys are checking out and supporting our graphic novel program we have through Corto Group. If you guys have ever seen me on video, whether through Instagram or the YouTube videos, you know that I have a dog named Allie. She's actually right over here. You can't see her because I've got this border thing on, but you're going to hear her because she refuses to chill because she knows that I am doing something, and for her that is unacceptable. So with that being said, Jackie, can you pull up the app, and let's jump into the app now? All right, so folks, we have a web app as well. So if you are a subscriber or user of our app, you can certainly use the web app as well if you don't want to download stuff from your phone or you have not a lot of space left on your phone or tablet. So we highly recommend the web app. It's extremely efficient. I use it all the time on my tablet, even though I have the app downloaded. So with that being said, this is what our issues typically look like. They have beautiful covers. This cover and this issue was designed by the incredible Mallory Avalos, one of our team members. And this is the Summer of Manga issue. It's Saturday issue number 151, and features 3 of the more than 11 series, short stories that are featured in the issue. It features 3 of those characters and the stars of those short stories on the cover, and they're really wonderful. This is probably one of my favorite Summer of Manga years we've ever done. This is our 6th year doing it officially. It's probably one of my favorite years just because I didn't have to work on it. I was really busy doing all this other stuff. So it's put together by Austin Harvey. And then we had a number of other people who were involved with it as well, but Austin was one of the key figures. And I thought the issue came out great. And I'm really proud of the creators. I'm proud of Austin. I'm proud of our staff members. It's just a great issue. So, but you can see here, we take a lot of pride in designing our digital magazine to feel just like a traditional magazine. When you go to the next page, you'll then open up into a table of content. And that then allows you to be able to then see everything that the issue offers, whether we have articles or other types of content. And obviously, of course, we have our manga. So you can see here, these are the 11 titles that we had for this year's Summer of Manga. Again, people entered Summer of Manga with the hope of being selected to be in this issue. And out of the more than 100 plus people, we selected I think like 20 or 30 some, and then we ultimately ended up on these 11. So really proud of this extraordinary group of creators here. I hope you guys will give all of them a chance to see if they can win your support by simply checking out their content within the issue. For today's purposes, because there will be 2 of these videos, we're only doing 6 of these titles. We're going to try to make our commentary very short and to the point, and we hope that this will inspire you guys to go check it out for yourself, because you can vote for these series and give them your thoughts as to what you believe they did right or wrong as a consumer. So with that being said, let's jump in with our very first series, Aquila the Mighty by Brazilian Eric Pedrucci. So Jackie, why don't you, if you can, read the synopsis at the bottom of that, just kind of explaining what this title short story is.
Yes. Yeah, my computer's working fine. There we go. Yeah, so Aquila the Mighty is one of the Summer of Manga entries for this year, 2022. 2, and the creator is his name is Edward Pedrucci from Brazil. His short story is about Aquila is a young man with the power to grow wings from any flying creature on his body due to an oath he made to protect all wildlife. His promise is to put the test his promise is put to the test after he goes on a mission to find a missing village child, relying on his power and wits to prevent an all-out war between the adult villagers and a powerful magical beast. So that is
Okay.
his entry.
So, yep. So, folks, again, this is Aquila the Mighty. This creator is from Brazil, and this is really, really strong debut work from a creator. And the Air Producer actually appeared in our March Art Madness, which is our second big event of the year. But this is a really strong work. So, first things first, let's go down the list and get thoughts about this work. So, I'm going to begin with Michael. Michael, what were your thoughts on Aquila the Mighty?
I think that this entry had some of the strongest paneling that I've seen out of most of them. It's just really like professional, and like this artist isn't afraid to draw big, like in the scene right here with the dragon. And plot wise, I like how simple they kept it. Like, boy has to help a kid in danger. With these like one shots, sometimes people can go a little overboard and bite off more than they can chew.
Yep.
So I was glad that he stuck and kept it simple. Because less can be more.
I totally agree. Completely agree. Morgan, what about you?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Michael's thoughts on the paneling for sure. Like I was even inspired. I love good paneling. I really like the main character. I like his abilities. I'd love to learn more about him in future installments if there are any. The artwork is obviously really good. And I rooted for the main hero. I think that's something that sometimes gets lost in one shots, is making a compelling hero that's not over the top, but that you could root for from start to finish.
Very well said. Very, very well said. Jackie, what were your thoughts on Aquila the Mighty?
Honestly, I think Aquila the Mighty was like one of my top 2 favorites for the Summer of Manga. I was really impressed by just how accurate the artist got the anatomy, how well that they got the toning. I thought their storytelling was very strong. I love the twist in the middle of the story where I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it. You guys will have to read it, but there's a twist in the middle of the story and it's really good. And I would love to see a continuation of the series if they get chosen to work with us in the future.
Yeah. Listen, I echo everyone's comments. I probably, probably out of the three of you, I have to say what Morgan said I thought was so accurate. Yes, the paneling is good, and yes, this person had like the character design is fantastic, and the plot, is really good. And as Michael said, he kept it simple, which is again one of the challenges a lot of these creators face. Some of the Saturday AM creators face it. I was talking to a creator earlier tonight. I mean, this is normal that people face editorially, trying to learning how to pace their work and not overburden the story. But man, creating a character you actually like is just something that I think so many people do not get. They don't understand it, especially some of these artists who try to do these really badass characters and badass series. They just really miss the concept of, hey, I'm reading this, even if the story is meant to be serious, I'm reading this, I'm giving this my time. Please make this something where I can feel like I genuinely like this character. Doesn't mean the character has to be honorable, doesn't mean the character can't have their flaws, but you have to want to have the character do things. You got to want to experience this character's journey. And that only comes about if you find the character intriguing. Think about all the villains that we read about in pop culture, whether it's, the characters in Game of Thrones, the Lannisters and so forth. Like, the fact that they're compelling allows you to watch them. I mean, when I was younger, of course, there was a series called Dallas. And this very famous character named JR, I think Carrington or JR something. Yeah, I forget his last name, JR something. But he was like this bad guy. He was such a bad guy. He was a bastard, but he was so compelling. You couldn't help but JR Ewing. You couldn't help but watch him because he was so compelling. He was such an interesting character. I think JR character was like a porn star. Actually, I'm like, where did JR character come from? I think it was a porn star kid. So don't look up JR character. But yeah, JR Ewing, he was just such a fascinating character. And so, we love to root for characters who are compelling, whether they're positive or not, but they have to be entertaining. You have to genuinely like that character, even if they were a bad person. You have to like their character to be able to really go on the journey with that artist and go on the journey with the character. So, big shout out to Eric. I mean, so much of what this short story is, frankly, is just polished. This is just a polished short story. Great design, great concept, great execution. Just great across the board. Could not be more excited and happy for this creator. I agree with Jackie. This is one of my faves. Okay, so then next short story we're going to look at. So next one's Sweeper by Milk Dimension. Now Milk Dimension is an American creator. Jackie, again, if you wouldn't mind reading the setup for this character, for the short story.
Yeah. So the Sweeper is created by an artist named Milk_Dimension. They are from the United States, and their story goes as follows. As a sweeper, Suto must descend into the subterranean megastructure beneath the city to slay the monsters known as Geist that are born from the negative thoughts and emotions of the inhabitants above. After a Geist swallows his mentor, Suto refuses to abandon his last vestige of a normal life. That is Sweeper.
Okay. All right. So, Jackie, have you read Sweeper?
I have, yes.
Yep. And tell me what you thought of Sweeper. Then I'll start with you this time.
So I thought the story was okay. And I thought the art was decent. I did really enjoy the action scenes where the main character is fighting this monster that you see here. And I did enjoy how clean the line art looked, in particular panels. I will say, sometimes I noticed that there were like little anatomy issues. But overall, I thought this was a pretty decent one shot, and I think this creator is very, very talented. If they continued making comics, then I definitely want to read it for sure.
Okay. All right. Michael, let's go to you. Please some of your thoughts on Milk Dimension.
I think Sweeper had one of the best character designs for the protagonist, in my opinion. I feel like the silhouette's like really obvious when you look at it, and like it reminds me of like old school Cartoon Network and like Disney XD kind of artwork, which makes it really clean and unique looking compared to a lot of the other entries.
Mm-hmm.
I think where this fell short was like the whole environment of like the underground, since like that's the whole point of the story. Because like right here we can see it's like mostly drawn with like a grid.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this work could have really like benefited from like taking inspiration from like Made in Abyss or something, where you really explore the underground levels and take more like time to develop the environment in the world underneath them where the monsters are.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll certainly give my thoughts on this, but I have some thoughts on that as well. Morgan, what about you?
Yeah, I love that character design too, especially that first page where he's in color. I almost wish that we would have seen some of that coloring throughout the manga. Not that every manga, has color. I think for me, some of the flashback scenes or some of the exposition that he tried to throw in here fell out of place just because it felt rushed. It wasn't quite fully developed, and I think that either took up too much space from the rest of the one shot where he could have been focusing on other elements. But it also just kind of complicated it, I think, for me. Because otherwise, I think it was a pretty straightforward concept. He probably could have stuck to a simpler, more concise narrative, and I think that would have made it more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my thoughts on this are real simple. I think this artist has incredible promise. I think this artist is incredibly promising. I think this is clearly their first work, or clearly their first time doing the work, because there were so many things here that just were missed opportunities, just not the best decision making. Let's start off with the very beginning, as you guys said. Look, I've seen this artist work. They've participated in March Art Madness in the past. I've seen their work before. I've always been really impressed with the stuff that I've seen of them. The character design is fantastic. I take what Michael said about Cartoon Network, and I could not agree more. This is like a really highly stylized, cartoon you would have saw on Cartoon Network. Maybe not Jenny Tartovsky, but something equally distinctive. And that's the thought I got when I saw some of the original art. Funny enough, what we ask these creators to do as we're working with them on these stories and so forth, we ask them to prepare character art of their main character so we can evaluate the character design, because we've had issues in the past where creators have tried to squeeze in a character design that's obviously just Naruto or Bleach or Dragon Ball fan fiction. So we always try to stop that. And we, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but we've gotten better at being able to detect it. And this is one of the ways we do that. And so I remember what should have given me pause, and always, these were always red flags that I see. And again, not negative, because this artist has a real future. But one of the things, though, that stood out to me is when they do that simple assignment, I can always tell who is really comfortable with this and who's not, based on how they handle that assignment. All you're doing is creating a very short piece of art that tells us what the character looks like. And I can tell when the first pass they did of it, the pose was so ridiculous. It was like hard to understand where the character was. It was just a really bad choice of a character design and of a particular vibe to this is what the character looked like. That was really my first clue that this creator is really new to this. There's a lot of stuff here. This page that you're showing here, Jackie, on the screen, I think is another good example. Like this is just a really difficult thing to really understand exactly what's happening. It doesn't feel nearly as thrilling. The layout is not great. I mean, it's like these panels where there's no border and there's kind of inset inside of another panel. You've really got to understand how to frame action to make that work. That top panel, like I don't know what that is inside of it. I don't know if it's like meant to be a blur of him running. I don't know what that's meant to be, but whatever it is, it's a wasted thing. You didn't need that on this page. There's other stuff that should have been done on this page to make it more compelling. And this just points to a young man who just is still learning how to do this stuff, because this is just not great layout. You then get to the point that Morgan made about the story. And yes, this is a very simple concept. In fact, this was one of my favorite pitches that we had when they pitched us and stuff. This is one of my favorite ones. I thought, hey, what a great concept. A chimney sweeper, except they're not sweeping for like bats or so forth. They're sweeping like large, like industrial complexes and stuff to try to stop monsters. I thought, what a great concept. I didn't see this, and it starts out, and obviously the artwork is nowhere near as, I agree with Morgan as well, the color would have helped us a lot, but it's nowhere near as compelling as the individual images, and that's because, again, I don't think this creator is really comfortable with backgrounds, comfortable with layout and paneling. So you start to see all these trouble spots because there's not a lot of backgrounds. The paneling is just really strange and awkward at various times. But then out of nowhere, as Morgan said, you try to cram the story in. And the whole point of Summer of Manga is to understand and learn how to tell a compelling story. Folks, you can do that in 3 pages, 5 pages, 10 pages, 50 pages, whatever we give you, you can do it. But if you don't really know how to do it, not to mention don't really know how to lay out a page, then you start trying to cram everything in. You don't understand it. You know what? Maybe this other thing is just not important. It's not necessary. It's not important. It's not going to change anything. It's not, and the fact that it's there is going to be unsatisfying, because you're not going to have a chance to really explore it or appreciate it. So again, I think this creator has incredible potential. I wasn't hurt or depressed that this creator didn't have as strong of an outing for this Summer of Manga, because what I think this creator is capable of, I think, is really high. Now, they got to work on backgrounds. They've got to start doing better backgrounds. They've got to learn how to pace their story. And again, folks, you're going to hear me say this a lot. If you watch my video, you've heard me say this in the past. Not every artist is a writer. And this is a problem I think that happens a lot in America for people who are influenced by manga, but not every artist is a writer. Yes, that's what it's done like in Japan a lot. And no, not every Japanese work is as good as people try to make them out to be. But at the same time, it's just not normal. And so, this person had a great concept. They had a great idea. They had a great character design, and they're a very talented artist. This is sort of artist I look at and I say to myself, over the next couple of months or years, if this creator does not get better at backgrounds and does not get better at layout and page design, this is where I have to look at that creator and say, stop trying to write. Choose a lane and stick to it. Trying to do it all, what they call trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none of them, is not a good sign. So don't do it. Try your hand at it. But if you don't improve in those things, then stop trying to do it. Focus instead on being the best artist you can be, because this artist, this image you see right here, this has potential. This is, as Michael said, this is Cartoon Network level hipness. This is really cool. And this artist clearly can do this. I mean, even the design of like the spear kind of melting or kind of being corroded by, I guess, demon blood. That's great. That's really, really, really great. So this is the sort of thing this creator can do if they buckle down and really start trying to focus on being the best artist they can be. And the story may come or it may not, but I would like to see this artist take effort to be a really strong artist first and foremost. Any final comments before we move?
I think you hit it right on the nail on the head, Fred.
I took
agree.
5 minutes to say it. I hope so. I tried to squeeze all in 5 minutes. I was like, I know Michael's got stuff to do tonight. So, and by stuff I mean dancing, Michael, dancing. But all right, so let's see next thing. All right, next thing we have here, Jackie. Which is the next one you want to go to? Let's go to a non-American one, Jackie. Let's kind of split it up a little bit. All right, folks. So this is Mowgli's Choice. This is from a young artist named Experiment Arts. They're from Barbados. And this, I think, is the first Barbados creator we've ever had in Summer of Manga, or March Madness for that matter. So this was very cool to see this artist contributing work. Jackie, you can read the synopsis.
Sure. Let's see. Mowgli's Choice by Experiment_Arts. Mowgli's father is the holder of the earth spirit and uses it to protect his village. But when he fails to dark spirits, Mowgli must make the decision to be the new holder. So that is Mowgli's Choice.
All right. We'll start off with Morgan this time. Morgan, have you read Mowgli's Choice?
Yes, I have.
All right. So what did you make of this short story?
I think there was a lot of promise in terms of the artwork and the character designs, but I think this struggled from pacing issues, and I think artistically it feels a bit congested. For me, if there was one word to describe the narrative, it was whiplash, just because it seemed like you were going from one scene to the next without much in between, and especially the ending in particular. I was not expecting it to end quite as abruptly unless there was a page missing. But like I said, I think there's promise, but I think there's also a long way to go.
I can answer that. There were page misses.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No, you're
okay. Yeah, no. Again, great entry, or good job.
Okay. Great entry, great good job. All right, so Mike, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree in graphic design, so I feel like lettering as an art. I notice right away when I see bad lettering, and I feel like that's like the case here, where I feel like everyone could like improve their lettering just by like taking a minute to like learn how to do it. But in terms of the story, it felt like it was trying to do more than it needed to do in terms of like the lore in the beginning. But then, like, when I really looked at it, it felt very textbook, where it's just like a kid gets a superpower and defeats a monster. So in that sense, I felt like nothing new was really being done, even though they were trying to establish all of these concepts. So I don't know. It could have potential. I like the artwork, but in my head, it just felt pretty like I've seen it before. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Jackie, what did you make of Mowgli's Choice or Mowgli's Choice?
It felt like definitely something I've seen before. I felt like they were trying to maybe portray like a Naruto or Dragon Ball Z. They were trying to convey this battle scene, but it just didn't stick out to me. There were things with it that kind of felt wonky. Like if you look at this page, for example, the way that the father is laying down the anatomy, it just looks off a little bit. And then in this one, this panel here too, I think someone's supposed to be hitting the monster, but like it's kind of distorted, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So the artwork, the anatomy, the perspective, definitely things that this artist should work on. I also think that Mowgli's Choice apparently was he had to decide because his father wanted Mowgli to be the leader of like the village, right? And at the end they're fighting, and he has to make that decision to take the reins, I guess. But that doesn't really constitute as like a choice for me. It's like that doesn't really feel like a choice. That feels more like you're just succeeding your father. You know, like I feel like in this kind of story, Mowgli's choice, maybe it would have been, maybe I have to sacrifice something that I have to save my father, or maybe, you know, I have to choose between my life or my father's life, or the village's life, or you know, something like that. Like raise the stakes a little bit, because I feel like Mowgli's choice didn't really resonate with me. Um, so yeah, I would just say if this artist continues working on their art skills and their storytelling, that they'll definitely become a forerunner in the manga space, because I do see talent here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, clearly, so I'm glad you said that at the end. I mean, I definitely want to say that there was a lot artistically here that I really appreciated. Now, some of this first of all art is subjective. Even the stuff that is unquestionably great, it's also very subjective. So, but what I will say here from my vantage point, because we all approach this a little bit differently, is that this reminded me of an artist named, I think it was Keith Vokes. Another one named Reggie Byers. When I was a kid, this is sort of artwork they would do. They were the first kind of folks who were doing manga style content. Even though they weren't Japanese, they worked for a company called Kamiko, and they were doing. I actually did an episode about this, I think, on one of our podcasts. But they were some of the earliest, American manga style creators, and it was manga style. I mean, it had all the trappings, but it looked very uneven at times. That was part of the charm of it in the early '80s. So this reminds me a lot of that. It reminds me a lot of Vokes' work and of Reggie Bauer's work, because it's just kind of got that. It's got that element to it when you look at it. And you're like, okay, I see the manga influence, but then it's also kind of like the camera angle's a little bit weird, and it's not quite putting them as solid as a manga page would be, or even a traditional, superhero page would be. But the ideas are there. You get the ideas of it. And I think that's really, for me, in other words, for me, there's promise here. There's a lot of misses here. I totally agree. There's a lot of stuff here that doesn't quite work. But there's some things that do work. I do want to give a big shout out to this creator as well for introducing some cultural ideas to this. Again, I don't know what these characters are meant to be. They clearly are kind of like this tribal sort of group. Whether they're Black, whether they're Native American, whether they're Arabic, whether there's some sort of amalgamation of those ethnicities. There's a couple of things that really stood out to me. Some of the character design stood out to me. The scene, I think, on the second page where the father, kind of like, is talking to his son, and then, puts his head against the son's head, and they kind of like touch, and he brings his son's head closer to him, and he kind of touch foreheads. I do that to my little sister all the time. I mean, it's like, I just thought those were nice little touches that, again, just kind of show just a cultural and just sort of, it kind of delivers more context about characters than just showing battles in action. Clearly, the story is very simple. I didn't think it was complicated. I thought it was just really simplistic. And this is an example of stories that can be too simplistic. I thought this was way too simplistic. And I thought as well that even though we had some stuff here I thought was really good in setting up the character, we didn't get this very rushed, very anticlimactic ending. And what that is called, the creator was running out of time on their story, and they just finished it. They just said, okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I've only got so many pages, I'm stopping right here. And that is unfortunate, because you have to ask yourself, I do this even now to creators that we talk with for Saturday AM, of asking them, why is this in here? Like, if you can't finish your story with a conclusion, then why is this in here? Like, why have this in here? Why spend time with this? The fight sequence lasts, I don't know, this is a very short story, and the fight sequence begins on the fourth page and continues on for the rest of the book. It's like, again, if you're going to have that, then make it interesting, make it, more challenging. There's like one moment where the beast is throwing a fist at Mowgli, and he basically does like not a capoeira move. He does like a Jenga move where he kind of bends all the way back so it can't get hit. And he uses a sword to kind of prop him up so he doesn't fall on his butt. Like, that was neat, but again, it wasn't illustrated in a way that really makes it as clever and as cool as it could be. So again, I think this artist has tremendous potential. I won't say this artist has demonstrated that potential nearly as effectively as Milk Dimension did, because there was nothing here that I thought was expert, but I did think that the cultural component of it was interesting. I give this artist kudos for doing that. But in terms of story, in terms of pacing, in terms of plotting, in terms of character design, wasn't a lot here to really get on, and certainly the fact the story just kind of ends abruptly without any real sense of
Closure.
thematic quality. Yeah, without just any sort of substance to it, just felt unfortunate. So again, I think this creator, I love this creator again. But I would say, for this first attempt, because I'm sure this is creator's first attempt, it's probably one of the weaker entries in this year's Summer of Manga, if I'm being frank. Okay, all right. Anyone else want to add on before we hop to the next story? Nobody?
Good.
All right, let's move on then. Let's go back up to Magical Fantasy Football. Okay, so this is called Magical Fantasy Football by EJ.Comics, who's an American. And just to read this entry here, do you want to read that entry for me, Jackie?
Yes. Let me see here. Magical Fantasy Football by EJ Comics. In this world, humans live alongside fantasy races like elves, orcs, dwarves, and more, and their favorite pastime is American football. Leon Gomez, a human high school sophomore, is playing against an orc school with his all-human team. The orcs are faster, stronger, and more brutal than any human. Leon's team wants to quit playing. They don't think it's worth it to play anymore, but Leon won't ever quit on the game that he loves. And this artist is from America.
All right. So, Michael, I know you're a giant football fan, so go ahead. What do you think about it?
I am definitely not, but
I'm sorry. Wait, time out. Let me correct that, folks. I'm so sorry about that. I'm the only sports fan here. You're big into Quidditch, so tell me about this for me.
Ooh, Quidditch. I really give this artist props for doing a sports comic. I feel like that's really rare for Summer of Manga one, and rare for just people in general.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool that they did this. I think they had a lot of potential with this. I really like the character and like how the theme of the story is just don't give up. It reminded me a lot of the first episode of Haikyuu, where you're going to cheer for this underdog. Like literally, the other team's like super powered compared to them. So it was really cool to see that like I'm not giving up, and then he does it until the very end, even though it seems pointless. So that was a really big plus in my eyes.
Okay, all right. Jackie, what about you? What did you make of Magical Fantasy Football?
So I thought the paneling and the layout was pretty good. I enjoyed the tones. I enjoyed the concept of the story, where there's different races that you're going against in a football fight. I don't know how practical that would be in terms of like it being fair or not, because it's humans against orcs. But I did enjoy this storytelling. I will say there are anatomy issues, but they're not very bad. I feel like if the artist practiced more, they could polish that up. I will say when it comes to the story, I thought that um it was a little bit weird because you have one part of the story where it's trying to be serious, where the characters are trying their best to win this football match, right? And they're beaten up and they're ready to quit. And then you have this other element of the comic, which is very comedic. It's fun, it's funny, and I think those two elements clash. You have one part trying to be serious, one part trying to be funny and make light of the situation. So I think they kind of conflict with each other. So if the artist went either one way, made the whole thing serious, I think that would have been very effective. Or if he went the other way completely, made it all comedy, I think that would have been very effective. I think he probably should have decided what he wanted to do, but and I thought the ending was okay. But since the players were desperate and trying to win, I feel like maybe the victory could have been a little bit sweeter. But it's just my opinion. I thought this was pretty good. I like this one.
Okay, all right. Morgan, what did you make of this?
I kind of disagree because I think with the ending, it has more of that cheesy like 80s, 90s like happy ending kind of feel to it. So I think that the mix of comedy and like kind of low stakes, but also like we want to win kind of aspect works hand in hand. I don't think they really clash that much.
Mhm.
And honestly, they weren't trying to win; they were ready to give up. I like this main character's drive. Again, it's another character even though he's pretty straightforward, there's not a lot of depth to him. He's got a great attitude, and it makes you again kind of want to stick with him and see how he holds out against these stronger than average enemies. If this did get carried through, the football theme's not bad. But I feel like if this got continued, I'd actually be more interested in the like social dynamics of these characters. Like, why are the high schools segregated? Why can't they have like elves and orcs and humans all working together and working on kind of like a mixed species or mixed race kind of team? I think that would have been interesting. This particular comic, it works well in this one shot with this really simple, short, sweet story. But it kind of left me with more questions
Yeah.
about the sort of larger context of the background and the world building, which isn't always a bad thing.
No, I listen. So I'm gonna say a couple things here. First of all, um, as I said at the very beginning of this was not my favorite pitch. In fact, I pretty much disliked this pitch. I mean, like I said, I thought Sweeper was excellent, and I thought this one was just so like. I mean, I know what this is. This is iShow 21. I mean, it's iShow 21 just mixed in with like monster stuff. I think it was like a board game we saw or something where this exact plot existed. Now, again, I'm not suggesting this creator stole that. Obviously, this creator, I don't believe, did. This board game was very old. This creator is very young. So, it is what it is. But nonetheless, I didn't have high hopes for this. As I said earlier with another entry, I started having some real positive vibes when I saw the what do you call it? The PNG, the character PNG mark the promo art, because it just had such a great energy to it, and it seemed to really understand what it was. And I thought, okay, all right, there's something here. Then when I saw this right here, which is the lead page, this image here, again, kind of like Sweeper. This is so much better than any individual panel in the entire short story. That image right there, the perspective, the just like the intensity of the character's like look and his face. This is so manga accurate as opposed to everything that's in the rest of this short story. And what that tells me is this is a creator I think to watch. This is a creator probably the first time they really did a story with any real emphasis in it. I think they pushed themselves here. I think the shortcomings, as Jackie said, are evident. They're very clear. On the other hand, there were a lot of things that they did that I think deserve a lot of praise. Number one, this first image here with the two characters coming head to head like that, there's an intensity here. And I think people sometimes miss how difficult it is to capture intensity and momentum in two dimensions. And there's intensity here. Is it perfect? Is it ultra dynamic? No, but does it still do the job? Absolutely. Likewise, there's a scene where he's getting ready to come across the Defender right here. And the Defender is portrayed as this gigantic character next to him. This is straight out of manga. This is like manga 101, exaggerated size discrepancies to demonstrate exactly how like hopeless and how significant the obstacle in front of you is. We've seen this done. It's not like they can change shape or anything like that. This is just an artistic technique that's done much more frequently in manga than it is in Western comics. And I know exactly what it was the minute I saw it. You then got the whole thing, as you guys talked about him like not wanting to give up. The other people wanted to give up. He didn't want to give up. I think this page here, where you see him say someone get open, like this is a good example of his limitations, right? There's several limitations that you can see. This is a good example of one, because again, this is an area where there could have been a real dynamism here for him throwing the ball, and there's not. Like it's very stiff. It doesn't have nearly the dynamic and the dynamic biology, or the character doesn't have the right anatomy to really sell this moment. Furthermore, when he throws the ball in the very next panel, that also is like being squeezed into this one panel. It just does not have nearly the intensity, nearly the sort of dynamism you'd want to see in this type of story. That said, there were so many moments. This is another example, by the way, where the character is exaggerated in terms of their size, but as well as the characters reacting with the eyeballs. There were so many moments here where I thought, man, this kid was trying to emulate iShow 21 and manga. He brought a concept that's not super original, but it is original. Astro 21 was not about demons versus orcs or demons versus humans, I mean. And he pulls it off. And so while this is nowhere close to being the top title in Summer of Manga this year, and while this creator has a lot still to do, there were so many things this creator tried to do, like here where he says, out of my way, he tosses the character. There were so many things done here that demonstrate this desire to push and try different things. No, he doesn't always nail it, but he nails it enough to where you understand what he was trying to do, how complicated it was, and the fact that he didn't pull it off expertly, but he still was able to pull off the idea of it. I think that is a tremendous, tremendous win for a young artist. So again, this is not my top 2 or 3 or 4, but I do have some very, very strong reaction to this young artist. I think delivering something that, I mean, he nailed every part of a sports shonen manga in the 20-some pages that he had. He nailed every part of it. And I have to give a big shout to that. We got the character, we got the world, we got the concept, we got the stakes, we got the complication to trying to win, and we got the win. And I think this young man, if nothing else, as a writer, I think this young man's got some real talent. So I was very impressed with this. Not at the level of like, oh yeah, this is definitely the next level, but definitely in the case of this creator understood the assignment, understood what constitutes manga versus the sports, and delivered on it with limited skill, limited experience, but still delivered on it as close as possible. I'm definitely watching this young man, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Comments or questions? You guys good with that? Or anyone else have anything you want to add?
I think someone mentioned before with the magical fantasy football that it was similar to Blood Bowl. I've never seen or heard of Blood Bowl, but that's what I heard. So
Yeah. Nope, that's correct. That's correct. That was the idea at least.
got it.
Okay, all right. Next title, next to last title is called Don't Lose Your Head by Pharaoh.draws. This creator is from Argentina, and we evidently did not get a short read on this. Let's go to Michael. You read this, Michael?
Yeah, I did.
Give a short synopsis of this, please. They didn't include one. We didn't include it evidently.
Okay, so the world's been overrun by zombies, but these zombies aren't like eating people. They're pretty much living in society. And so our main character, she's a little like street girl. She skateboards, wears oversized like hoodies and stuff like that. And she wants to make a quick buck. So she bumps into this rich dude right here, or he's wearing a rich suit, who has lost his brain. So she wants to help him find his brain and hopefully make money out of it.
That is Don't Lose Your Head, folks. And folks, if you are wondering, yes, the little street urchin was based on Jackie. All right, so Jackie, tell us. Jackie, tell us what you. Jackie wears oversized clothes and skates, folks.
Yeah.
So Jackie, tell me what you thought. Tell me what you thought of this work. Again, this creator is from Argentina, folks. I'll scan through some of the pages, but you tell me your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, this one was one of my top 3 favorites for sure. Looking at just the character designs, the anatomy, the perspective, the way they panel, I can tell that this person has made comics before. They're experienced. This isn't the first time that they've done this, because you can see that there's a level of understanding to what they're doing here. And I really appreciate that they took the time to make these detailed backgrounds, because the backgrounds are fantastic. That's not really something, I know a lot of artists struggle with that. They're afraid to draw backgrounds. So, I appreciate all of the effort that went into this. But not only that, the characters themselves are very likable. They're charming. You have, the zombie who, his memories are lost. He can't remember where his brain is, and he's clumsy and he's goofy, but he's also kind of cute. And then you have the skater girl who's, has more of an evil side. She's trying to be all cool and stuff. And it's just that they're 2 different personalities that just, they go so well together in a story like this. And I love the narration. I love the ending. What happens at the end. I thought this was a very well put together one shot. Definitely one of my favorites.
Agreed. I'll speak more about it in a moment, but let's go to Morgan. Morgan, what'd you make of this?
Yeah, obviously another really talented artist. That first page wowed me immediately. Just the coloring. It's probably one of the best color pages in the group. Personally, I mean, obviously Frisky, the main character, she's literally the star of the show, but she really did outshine every other character in this one shot. I really do like her. She's very relatable, I think. Very, very interesting character. I liked her throughout, and she's got a very good design. I disagree about the other characters. I actually felt that they were kind of forgettable. I think considering the world that they exist in. I mean, obviously the designs are interesting, like this pig-headed guy, the tailor, the dead cat, etc. But I think there could have been something maybe in their personality or their design silhouette to really, give them that extra edge to help them stand out. Because even this sort of deuteragonist, the character that she's helping, there was a missed opportunity for him to be sort of the straight man kind of foil to the main character. Because even with his interactions, it just didn't feel like he stood out that much. But definitely loved Frisky, and again, the artwork is pretty good.
Yeah. Michael, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I love the main character, especially. I feel like it's really easy to make a Mary Sue character when it's like your first time making a comic, and this character has clear flaws, and I feel like that's really cool when you see a character that's not perfect right away, and that makes her more relatable, like everyone was saying. And this artist definitely knew the assignment, because this completes itself as soon as the story ends. You don't need any more to like enjoy it. There's no more context you need, so they told a really good complete story, better than everyone else in the group, I feel like.
Listen, I could not agree with everyone's comments more. This is my second fave title of this group. We'll obviously talk about our two faves that we had at the end of this, but this is my second one. I mean, look, artistically, there's just no comparison. First of all, I don't know who said it earlier. I forgot who said it, but whoever said that that this artist clearly has done artwork before, I could not agree more. Like I've been doing this for very long, and there's no way you look at these pages and think to yourself, well, this person's the first timer. No way in the world. Like, I can believe that this may be the first time they create a comic. I can believe that. That's not out of the realm of possibility. But the idea that they're new to art and just trying to figure out art, no way. No way. There's so much polish here. This is such sophisticated work. The character designs are complete. The character mannerisms, like I talked about before, of Mowgli's choice, when the father, takes the kid's head and they kind of bump heads, and he's trying to express his love for his son, how he's going to be able to take over one day for him. But that's a keen moment that a creator has, because they understand the characters. This right here, every essence of these characters, the way they stand, the way they, like in video games, if you're not, Sega was the first one to do this with Sonic, but when you weren't playing the character, they would have like a little animation that kind of like, hurry up, they'll be tapping the foot and look at they're watching everything. They call it an idle animation. This is the first work in this year's work that I've looked at where every single body movement of the character continues their characterization. Like, their characterization is complete. You see it like they're communicating who they are, even through what they do. When they're just sitting in the page, when they're just listening to their character talk, you get a sense of who they are. And that is expert level artistry. Last thing I'll say is that as Michael said, this person understood the assignment. The only other artist I've ever seen in a Summer of Manga who delivered a story to me that felt like this, meaning that the artist understood what they could do. They delivered on it. It was so charming because of how well they understood every single facet of storytelling, was Jeffrey Jean Louise, who's my artist on Yellow Stringer. Jeffrey Jean Louise, Summer of Manga, about 5-6 years ago, did a short story called Mara the Martian. It was so charming. It's unlike anything he's doing now with Yellow Stringer, but it was so charming. It was so like simple, and it was just so incredibly well done. Like, every facet of Mara the Martian, from the way she walked to when she got frustrated to when she was looking for stuff, was realized artistically, and the story was really cute as well. And like this reminded me, these aren't close. The artists are nothing like one another, but just the competency, the talent, the skill level. I love this. I absolutely love this. One of my favorite for the last couple of years. I love this artist, love this short story. And I think it's very funny as well that we have two creators who are really exceptional, who are from nations that war with one another when it comes to football or soccer, Brazil and Argentina. That's very fascinating. Any further comments, though? You guys have any further thoughts before we move on to the final entry?
Nope.
All right. Okay. Jackie has spoken. She said nope. So no.
I will speak for the group.
Jackie says, "We'll speak for the group." She's like, "No, these people, they get nothing." All right. Well, then our final entry is Urban Vogue by Ugly Artist Jibs. This artist is from Ireland. Morgan, did you read this?
I did.
Please give us a short synopsis since we don't have one in the thing.
So it's about this character named Keen who participates in essentially a fashion or modeling battle with another opponent, and it seems to be a popular event or sport in the world that these characters live in.
All right, this is one of my favorite pitches. As I said before, I really love Sweeper, and this one I thought was fantastic. I mean, again, folks, when we do these Summer of Manga events and we get pitched from hundreds of people at a time, it's always like you can point out the things they're into. They're into whatever's hot right now. Jujutsu Kaisen's hot. They're going to pitch you something that sounds like Jujutsu Kaisen. Demon Slayer, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan. We've literally seen it all. Chainsaw Man. We've seen it all. This one, I thought, I've never seen this before. I've never seen a fashion battle manga. I've never seen that before. And then when you see artistically, which I'm going to show you in a moment, this artist clearly champions in the realm of, or plays in the realm of Hirohiko Araki. I hope I'm not butchering that. I know Araki is correct. The creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You're going to see how he pulls into that. I thought very, very shrewdly, I might add. Anyway, with that being said, Morgan, since we start with you, why don't we start with you then? Kick us off here and give us your thoughts on Urban Vogue.
Yeah, I absolutely love this main character design. And obviously a lot of the other characters, like the detail in their clothing is really well done. Considering it's a fashion manga, that's a huge plus. I love the concept of using fashion items as weapons or these powers that are involved. There's just so much opportunity to explore different cultures, different styles, different histories of fashion. I mean, there's just a whole world just within these 20 pages that I think could be really, really well done or really, really explored. I think my biggest concern with this was it was hard to follow some of the action. I think it could have been a little bit cleaner to kind of follow some of the character designs or to really accentuate them better. And I didn't really understand Keen's story. Keen is the main character here. I didn't feel like I could really champion for him just because I didn't know what his actual aspirations were. The only reason I liked him was because I liked his opponent less, basically. But again, I think there's so much good potential in the artwork and the character designs and the concept. I'd love to see more of this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you make of this?
Yeah, I really like the art. What's interesting is it's like told as a shonen story, but I feel like a lot of the effects they use are like shoujo manga inspired, which is really cool. Like all these sparkles right here, so that makes it feel really unique when you're looking at it, and that pairs really well with like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure like influence. My biggest critique of this like one shot was the random flashback that happened towards the end.
Agreed. That was my big one too. Yeah.
But other than that, I feel like this does have a lot of potential. Like fashion battle manga is not something I've seen before. The closest thing I could think of is Kill la Kill, but that's only been done once. So this definitely feels like a first.
First of all, it wasn't a manga; it was an anime, obviously. And then, yeah, it was therefore the visual aspect of it. Which again, I mean, if it was a manga, it would suck, right? Because the visual aspect of it was based on the animation.
True.
Whereas, this one is very much predicated on the idea of what it looks like as opposed to what it does. And so I think there's some stuff there, but I couldn't agree with you more. That flashback just took me out of parts of the end of it. because it was just random and just didn't seem to really connect. But Morgan touched on it as well. Like, there's not much to really hang on with Keen, and so you were kind of like, wait a minute, like what exactly is going on here? Jackie, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, my thoughts on it are really too different from your guys's. I thought the designs were very interesting. I can't say I'm a big fan of the main character's face. The design of the face, personally, it looks a little scary to me, but that's just my opinion. But I love like I love the designs of the outfits that he made of the
Yeah.
villain and the main character. And I really love I was so in love with the idea of the fashion battle. Just the idea of it sounded really cool. Like I was thinking in my head there'd be like a line of contestants, each wearing these extravagant outfits, and then all of a sudden, these big old canyons shoot out from like the top of their dress or whatever, and then they just start battling each other. Like that idea is so cool. The execution of this could have been a little bit better. Um, I think, like Morgan said, the biggest thing I had with this is just I didn't really feel a sense of victory when the main character won. I didn't really empathize with that. I almost like didn't care. Like I didn't really care that the main character won. I wish I could have seen maybe the reason why he wanted to win so bad. Maybe it was brought up in the beginning of the comic that he's wearing quote unquote rags. Maybe that means he's poor. Maybe that means his family's poor and he wants to win so bad, maybe to generate money for his family or something. Maybe that's the reason, the motivation, the reason we want to root for him. We want him to win at the end. Um, and because we don't really know why he wants to win, we don't feel that sense of satisfaction when he does win at the end. But I thought this was a good entry. I don't think it was one of the poor entries. And I don't think it was like the greatest one either. It was like somewhere in the middle, but I think it was a really good entry, and creators obviously very talented, as all of these artists are. So props to them. I love this one.
Yeah, so we've seen this artist before, Ugly Artist Jibs. I mean, that name is always, I've always remembered that name. I can't recall quite where we've seen him before, what's always stood out to us about him, but I've certainly seen him before. I just thought this, look, I mean, I agree with everything everyone was saying. I mean, to me, this was such a revelation. It was so original. It was so interesting. Were there things that didn't work ultimately? Yes. I mean, the story was compromised because it did, there wasn't the stuff that you talked about, Jackie, of like a real character, like liking the character wasn't really a winning character, even though I think we all understood what the character was meant to be. There just wasn't a lot there. I think, as Morgan put it, you rooted for the character because you didn't like the bad guy, and the bad guy was designed for you not to like, but the hero wasn't designed for you to like and root for. So that was, again, like a positive and then a negative, because they didn't quite nail the other part of that equation. I also have to say I love the names. I love the names, like announcer for the announcer, Keen, Ivan. Like, I just thought I could see Ivan, if this were a live action movie played by like Will Smith, and like this, not Will Smith, sorry, Will Ferrell, if he was like just kind of like the Zoolander. I just thought it was so fun. I thought it was such a fun work. And there were parts of this that were really well done as well. I look at this like I look at the Magical Fantasy Football Artist, as I understood everything they were trying to do. I think that this artist is probably a tad more advanced than the Magical Fantasy Football, because despite the fact that there were some scenes that obviously were, yes, not as clearly understood what was happening, on the other side, the character designs were completely original. They were fantastic. And so I had a lot of love for this. This is certainly in my my runner-up list for sure. But and I would love to see this continue. I'm with Morgan. I mean, of all the stories that are here, this is one that I would absolutely love to see continue, without question. So yeah, big shout out to Urban Vogue. I was so impressed with this on so many levels that I just can't begin to say that. I think this artist will continue to get better. So that's another thing. I think this artist has a lot of talent. There's a lot of rough spots, but this artist clearly has all the key elements that they need, and they will get much better. I mean, that's a guarantee. So this is a great work. I was really impressed with this. Really, really like this a lot. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back here to the homepage. That's going to conclude our review of these first 6 titles here. There are 11 in total. So with that being said, then it comes down to us basically discussing one of the key elements, which is, okay, so what were our 2 faves of this episode? So the titles we reviewed, what were your 2 faves? So again, just to make sure everyone remembers, we reviewed Akira the Mighty, Sweeper, Magical Fantasy Football, Mowgli's Choice, Urban Vogue, and Don't Lose Your Head. Of these 6, Jackie, what were your 2 favorites?
Aquila the Mighty and Don't Lose Your Head, for sure.
Okay. What about you, Michael?
Same answer.
What about you, Morgan?
Aquila the Mighty and Urban Vogue.
Interesting. Look at Morgan saying like, boom. I'm going to go Akira the Mighty and Don't Lose Your Head as well. Urban Vogue was certainly my runner-up. There's no question. But I just thought Don't Lose Your Head was so... Both Don't Lose Your Head and Akira the Mighty, both of them were so technically proficient artistically. Like, they understood the assignment. They kept the stories focused. And they offered something just a little bit different and unique. And I thought, man, just hats off to them. Urban Vogue, though, was certainly high on that list. Had the conclusion of the story been more interesting and earned, I certainly would. It's still in my runner-up list, but I certainly would have had it in that box. The next episode of this, which Jackie will do with a host of new people, perhaps some of these other two will be on the call, Morgan and Michael, but I will not be. We'll be reviewing Giga Strike by Young Wavy the artist, Monster Project by Jello Studios, Mendel Peace by Rob Future, Ghost Slayer Rex by Tapa Wasakota Art, and A Mighty Sword by Piggy Hammer. These are some really great entries, some really great creators. Of this group, real quickly go down the list, tell me which one was your favorite, and just give me a very simple, just a couple of word answer as to why. So I'm going to start first with Michael. Michael, of the next 5 entries that's going to be reviewed in the next episode, which was your fave?
I really like The Mighty Sword because of the protagonist.
Okay. All right. Jackie.
I liked A Mighty Sword as well because it offered something new and different with the Vietnamese mythology. I really liked that.
Morgan.
I also liked The Mighty Sword for all the same reasons, but I think as a one-shot, it just felt the most complete and technically sound.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, there's really nothing I can say about it. While there were some great entries in the next 5, and people are going to talk about in the next episode, A Mighty Sword, I just feel like I think we all probably feel the same way. It just was a cut above the rest. It was first of all, there's a part in it that they'll talk about in the next episode that I just love that the creator did on a personal level at the end of the story. I thought was just such a clever, such a commitment to the story and to what we stand for at Saturday AM. I thought, man, what a great, I'm surprised no other creator's ever done that in the past 6 years. Artwork, it's like artwork's not it's not gonna knock you on your butt. And certainly I think some of the other artists we talk about today possibly are a bit more dynamic than the young artists of Mighty Sword. But man, the artwork is solid, it's very inviting, it's very welcoming. And on a last note, I'll say before we wrap up, I'll say that I just thought as well that Piggy Hammer, the creator of it, I think just as a creator, I think she seems to be a very fascinating, very positive figure. And a big shout out to her for the way she carries herself. So again, it's gonna be a very interesting episode. There's some great entries in there. I know the fans have certainly spoken. There's some entries in there that I named that they're gonna say that they thought was a fave. Remember, folks, you get to choose yourself which one of these titles is great. So every time you come into this issue here and you check out one of the stories, at the bottom there will be the vote now button. If you click it, it'll take you to a Google form, and you'll be able to fill out the form and tell us and tell the creators of these short stories exactly what you think. This is a huge opportunity, not just for you to be able to say and have your voice heard, but for these great creators to actually get real feedback from our incredible fan base at Saturday AM. So please, if you haven't done it yet, go check out the issue. It's free to read. Simply go to www.saturday-am.com. You can read it for free in the web app if you don't want to download our app. If you do want to download our app and get more content, then feel free to download it and check it out from there. But we offer this issue for free. It's got great content in it, 11 short stories from around the world, incredible creators. You're going to really appreciate it. And then you get to tell us what you thought directly by taking the survey. All right, that's all we have for this episode tonight. Before I sign off real quickly, just to give a couple updates on a couple of things. Before I do that, let's ask these guys any final words they want to make before we wrap up. So starting with Morgan. Morgan, any final words you want to make to people before we hang up?
No, I mean, other than just really impressed with this year's graduating class of Summer of Manga. We've always had such great entries, and I feel like this year we had a good majority of them really be impressive, technically sound, just show us a lot of good content. It was a really good issue. Thank you, guys.
Couldn't agree more. Oh, totally refreshing. Totally refreshing. We always have great talent every year. This one was very interesting. What about you, Jackie?
Yeah, this was a really fun episode I get to do with all of you guys. I will say there's probably going to be a number of people watching this video wondering how they can pitch their manga idea to Saturday AM. Every year we have this event, Summer of Manga. I believe we open registrations right after March Art Madness, which is one of our events that we do, and we open registrations for this event in April. So if you're looking to participate in Summer of Manga and pitch your own comic, make your own one shot, we will have registrations open in April. So follow us on social media so that way you can stay up to date with everything going on and you know exactly what we're looking for as far as like the rules and the one shots and stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, April of 2023, folks, just to make sure there's no confusion there, because depending on when you watch this video, you know, it might be late. And then last but not least, Michael, any final words from you, sir?
Yeah, it was really cool to see so many diverse characters and stories in this. There were so many cultures represented. It was really cool. Don't forget to grab the books. The books right here. You could buy them in stores like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Waterstones, many other places too, including Walmart and Amazon. So make sure you do that. Don't forget to check out issue 150, where you can get a Kindle Fire by filling out a survey, chance to win, and read this issue and vote.
Yeah, so big shout to Michael there for cooling down a couple of things. That was going to be what I was going to tell you guys, folks. We have so many cool things happening. You see here, issue 150. That's right, we hit issue 150. We started our first magazine issue in 2013, and now we're sitting at issue 151. So we just had issue 150 come out, and you can read that issue. It's got all of our top series in there. Apple Black, Clock Striker, Massive Multiplayer World of Ghosts, Hammer, and even the return of an oldie but goodie, Bully Eater. And you can go in there, you can read, there's an article in there as well. There's a beautiful art gallery in there. But the key thing is that you can go in there and you can fill out a survey for a chance to win a Kindle Fire 8. This is a really cool tablet that allows you to read our digital manga on it. The graphic novels and so forth we'll have. You'll be able to read works from all sorts of publishers like Viz and Kodansha and Yin and so on, Marvel, DC. So it's such a great deal. Highly recommend you guys. All you got to do is fill out the survey. So check out the issue, fill out the survey. Furthermore, as Michael mentioned, our graphic novel program is off to a rapid start. There's so many exciting things coming up that I can't even tell these guys about yet, but some really exciting things happening. And the key thing is that, folks, our books are taking over. We're in Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, and Walmart here in the United States, amongst other retailers. We're in Indigo bookstores in Canada, one of the largest bookstore chains. One of the largest bookstore chains in Australia, Drymark. We're in their stores. W.H. Smith stores and Waterson stores in the UK. We're in those as well. This is incredible. It's an incredible testament to our partnership with Quarto Books, Quarto Group, and an incredible testament to our incredible staff and our artists and all of our fans and partners that we've had over the past 8.5 years. We're going to hit our 10-year anniversary the next year or so, and we got so many big announcements coming. So please stay tuned. If you haven't supported us yet, go check out our website and learn all about us at www.saturday-am.com. If you want to read some really killer free webcomics from incredible up-and-coming talent, many of them former Summer of Manga folks, then check out Pilot Manga which of course is this content that we talked about earlier. You'll be able to find Saturday Afternoon there, which is our line, and where Michael and a host of other amazing artists actually appear. So you can check out Saturday Afternoon in our Pilot Manga website. It's just www.pilotmanga.com. With that being said, folks, thank you all so much for checking out our channel, for checking out this latest episode of our roundtable. We've got a lot of new YouTube content coming soon, so please stay tuned. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.
See you guys.